This is the Roundtable. Today on Roundtable, as usual, we discuss the topical issues in Nigeria in the world of politics. And our three biggest stories today would be reeled out in a moment. My name is Melanie Ishola, and joining me today on the Roundtable are distinguished journalists and gentlemen. And I start from my right. I have Daniel Anyotoye.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here. Also.
Always a pleasure. And equally, we have Fateh Hamid. He joins me, is a distinguished colleague, and he actually has a special report to share with all of us on the program today.
Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to have you, Hamid. Now, to our very big story, the first one, Ibadan explosion, Clarion call for safety, security standards in mining. And the second, abduction epidemic, curbing the spread and spate of kidnapping in Nigeria. And our third big story has it that confessions at launch of Femi Adesina's literary exposition on Buhari on Tuesday night. Now, a number of things, on Tuesday, I beg your pardon. Now, a number of things have happened in the course of this week, and first on the agenda, and indeed because of the tremendous effect of that, we'll begin with the Ibadan explosion story. Now, on Tuesday night, residents of Adeyi Avenue in Bodija, Ibadan, Oyo State, witnessed an explosion of great magnitude, destroying 58 houses, killing at least 3 people, and rendering many hospitalized. Residents of Adeyi Avenue and the government of Oyo State have blamed Malian illegal miners for the explosion that rocked the ancient city on Tuesday. Now, a resident of Adeyi Avenue, who simply identified himself as Appa, in an interview with journalists in Ibadan on Wednesday, said there were no illegal mining sites in the area. He, however, blamed illegal miners from the West African country, Mali, who lived in the area for the explosion. He equally added that the federal government should send illegal miners out of the country. The issues are herein stated. And gentlemen, first, going by the statement of Appa, the resident of Adeyi, and the many developments and statements of the governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde, who further revealed that the investigations reveals names of foreigners in the Corporate Affairs Commission documents of the company involved in the Ibadan blast. I guess the first point of call would be to bring together the connections in here. There was an explosion. Normally, nobody should link it to anything. And then first thing we heard Tuesday night was this explosion was linked to mining. Then people asked, was there any mining activity going on in Bodija at Ibadan? And then people said, no, that's not the case. And then we've had series of revelations since then. But I practically would like to first go to Hamid, and this is because a colleague who was at the site of this incident throughout yesterday, and I think that was quite a way to spend your day. Can you please share with me all that went down and you witnessed on site?
Yeah, thank you so much, Melanie. It's nice being back on the show today, after a very epileptic last 2 days.
I should say.
So I usually, because I was, off work on Tuesday, I had to, travel down home to my family in Ibadan. So I was eating with my wife when the sound happened, So
did you hear the sound?
I did not. My own area is quite a distance.
Okay.
So what I realized was that my WhatsApp status, I just had about 10 persons upload almost at the same time. Did anybody hear the sound? It was about 4 persons. Did anybody hear the sound? So I was just like, what sound? But I didn't pay attention to it because, I was eating. So then I went on Twitter only to see a blog of one of our good friends, posting that a bomb just exploded in Ibadan. So then immediately I was unsettled. I was like, babe, please call your mom.
You quickly wore your journalist hat.
Call your mom. Please confirm
and investigate
if they are fine. I called my mother. She told me they heard the sound. Oh, okay. I called a couple of friends in Ojo. They said they heard the sound.
As far as Ojo?
Yes. As far as Ojo. They said they heard the sound. I called UI. my brother he stays around UI. He said he heard the sound that his house was literally shaking. I was like, oh, this is serious. So then the next thing I saw it was a video that a small Bodija has collapsed. Now that was what triggered me. Number one, a small is owned by someone who I know. You understand? So and he just built the mall. I'm not sure it's up to a year that the mall was opened. Yes. So I got triggered that what's going on? What's this sound that everybody's even talking about? By the time I got back to my WhatsApp, I realized that that was the only thing that was on my WhatsApp story. People were talking about an explosion. I said, okay, there is a trouble here. I told my wife, babe, I need to be at that explosion site. So she was like, babe,
it was too late.
It was late in the night. I mean, today is a day for you to, rest and all of that. I said,
family.
Babe.
Now, when you answered the call of your craft, your assignment on Wednesday, I need you to tell me how your entire day went and what it meant for you sitting that side.
Wednesday is not so deep, but that Tuesday night was the craziest. Wednesday, people were already getting themselves.
People already understood what might have happened.
Do you understand? When I got into Adeyi on Tuesday night, I got there about 8:15, thereabout. When I walked in there, it was only soldiers that were there. There was no police officer, there was no ambulance, there was no emergency. It was residents of the area that was trying to help themselves. I first and saw how injured persons, people who were soaked in blood, were being moved out of the area to get help.
This is a graphic account.
We were, people were like asking for help. We would donate blood. Who are doctors. There's a doctor who would be my, feature story that I'm going to write for weekend, who does not want to reveal himself. He was driving. He's a doctor himself. He went to visit his aunt, and he was driving recklessly as if something is pursuing. Obviously, just to be able to save lives. Yes. Do you understand? It was. I got there. I froze. Do you understand? I froze completely because I can't even get myself because it was more than what I expected.
Absolutely. Now let me share very quickly before I allow Daniel put in his thoughts and weigh in on this as well. Interestingly, the three of us, one way or the other, know Ibadan. And I at a point in growing up at Ibadan lived at an area next to that part of the Bodija estate. And I just imagined if we were still living there, even if the houses there didn't collapse, they literally would shake to their roots. So
almost all houses around that axis had their glasses broken.
I had a friend, I still have a friend who lives there, and I had to call her yesterday. Reached out to her on WhatsApp. Tolu, sis, what's going on? And then she says, thank God we weren't home, my husband and I, the entire family. She said, but the ceiling caved in, the windows caved in, and everything literally gone. And you look at a picture of before and after this incident, and you're asking yourself, is it the same location? The houses were lowered, leveled. Daniel, what do you make of this? In the realization that it was somebody storing explosives in such a premium residential area in Ibadan that caused this incident.
It's really a very sad story, sad situation, because you can imagine what a lot of them will be going through right now. Is beyond just words. It's beyond just what we are really analyzing. A lot of people there in the hospital, a lot of people, of course, we heard about the deaths, but one thing that is really of concern is the security situation. This comes to tell us about the fact that, yes, how could miners get to bring such things to that location, knowing full well that we have security personnel on the checkpoints, policemen, different checkpoints, and you are telling me that somebody came from Mali, that is an illegal miner, into the country, into Oyo State, city center, to now store dynamites, explosives, and all that. How did they get through the security channels?
I'd like to quickly come in.
Go ahead, please.
I think we have to understand that those miners, you see, I'm not, if you look at my words, even my report, I never addressed them as illegal miners. Do you understand? Because I do not believe they are illegal miners. These are people which document shows that they were miners that are approved by the federal government of Nigeria.
And we go by Sheyi Makede's comment.
Do you understand?
Well, stating that they are documented.
Yeah.
They are documented
foreign
miners.
names on the sea.
Foreign names.
Sea
They
of
are
O's.
not Nigerians.
On the Sea of O's.
They
So
are
they have the
documented.
property
So they have
there.
a right
Do you understand?
to work here.
They are documented. No, it is not even. Yeah, they have a right to
Yes,
work in
because they are
Nigeria.
documented.
Do you understand? Now, the document shows that these guys have been licensed by the Ministry of Natural Resources and or Mineral Resources, something. Do you understand? To work. Do you get? Now, the problem is this: these guys did not trigger the explosive themselves. I think these are one of the misconceptions I want people to understand. Do you understand? Yes, it is absolutely insane of them to keep explosive in a residential area, which is completely against the laws of our land. As far as mining is concerned, these things should be at their site where they are working. Do you get? From the first account of the next door neighbor, a man whose house also caved in at that point, you understand, which the explosion struck him and felt he had died. His name is Alaji. He said it was a fire. The house that the explosion came from is a whole building, but it's splitted into two.
Like
do you understand?
Detached apartment.
It's not exactly detached. It's sort of a story building.
Okay.
Then it was what's it called? Splitted into two somehow.
Demarcated.
Yeah, you understand. So there are some persons on this part and there are some persons on the other part. Do you understand? So now, this left part is the part where the foreigners are. Then this part is the part where the Yoruba guys are.
Alaji. Is that
No. Alaji is in his own house, is a different building.
Okay.
Do you understand? So the fire started from this house, from this side of the house, not even the foreigners.
Oh.
Do you understand?
So a neighbor's fire
a neighbor's fire triggered the explosive. So when they got that the fire was on, they tried to come out from their own house to see if, he said they tried to use their own fire extinguisher. That was the video.
That's right.
To put it off. But the fire was already beyond using an extinguisher to pull off. However, at that point, they didn't know that there was an explosive. However, those foreigners who knew what was inside and knew there was no way they could rescue the situation, they fled.
Okay.
Do you get?
Tell us more.
They fled. Now, not telling those who are there the gravity of what is at stake. They were still trying to put off the fire. Do you understand? When they saw that the fire was too much,
because of the
according to his narration, he said he called on his son to go get him his phone so he could call fire service, so that fire service could come in and put off the fire before it gets out of hand. That was his account. Do you understand? So immediately the son went to get the phone. While coming back, the fire touched the explosives and everything went boom.
Did the son survive?
Yes, it's the next house. Do you understand? So the son, from the account the son gave to him, he said the son already picked the phone, was trying to come downstairs when everything caved in. He already, he was very close to the explosion, took him away.
Please explain this caving in, because what I saw in picture, that I don't know if you can corroborate this,
was the
literally
crater.
something sinking and buildings collapsing.
Now
in this manner.
that point where that crater is a story building.
Okay.
For you to understand the gravity of what went down there. Do you understand? It's a story building that's there. It is not just maybe a bungalow. No. It's a story building, one story building that's there. So it tells you that the explosion was not a small explosion. It was a big one. An explosion that is capable of stopping a fire, such that you don't even get to see anything there.
Any trace.
Any trace of anything. And
properties and whatnot.
Look
destroyed.
at the properties that 50 houses we're talking about here.
58,000.
Now, that is even the houses that are in the vicinity of Adeyi alone. Not to talk of the explosion affecting a small, for it to have its roof
taken off.
it's a crazy one. It's a
And
crazy
I just
one.
want to say sorry for what you must have experienced going on.
It was terrible.
Because
It was
I do
terrible.
not imagine, from the videos you sent in and from some of the reports I've read,
terrible.
I've had to ask myself over and again, what about the impact of the losses on people whose properties are gone for life? Now, later yesterday, we saw how Governor Seyi Makinde, of course, he had gone visiting, but again, they were making plans around what's going to happen with settling these people who are now victims of these explosions into new accommodations and whatnot. And there is now a plea, even as of this morning, there is a public plea by the the Speaker of the House or your State House of Assembly that people, yes, please, that people should please come together, rally around for support and whatnot. That brings a lot of questions, really. Are there no ready-made accommodations where the government can settle these people in? A lot of people have proffered all sort of solutions on the internet. People said the State government owns the Polytechnic Ibadan and a host of other properties, or if, of course, public institutions, but wherein a temporary, a makeshift arrangement could be made. Essentially, I want us to analyze how the government has reacted to this so far. I'll go from Ayotoye to you because you were on site and you can literally give us more. But for you, what you've read, seen, how well would you rate Governor Seyi Makinde's what would you say, attention and reaction to all of these things?
I think the governor was able to at least take some measures necessary as a governor, which of course is also commendable, the efforts in terms to ensure that they make provisions and all that. And also, one of the aspects they also mentioned is the fact that they can lodge. I saw a notice where they can lodge in hotels and the government or something, I don't know how factual it is, but that they can lodge in hotels and the government will pay for it. Now, talking about ready-made provisions, of course, we know how things are with governance. Sometimes you don't have some of these provisions on ground. Remember some issues that have even happened in the past where you have the northern part of the country that were having issues that we had to have IDPs. Some schools were suspended. They moved people to those places for them to be. So I think also the government can also take these measures. But of course, more measures should be put in place, and I think we really need.
Now, for what it's worth, everybody is thinking, how can we forestall these sort of occurrences in the future? And again, what does having foreigners in the mining industry, especially the downstream mining sector, what does it mean for the teeming populace of Nigerian youths who do not have jobs? And of course, you look at how lucrative mining is, how capital intensive also it is for you to mine. Part of the issues is that the government owns the source of resource control for actually mining, which is why when you engage in mining in non-controlled manner, it is called illegal. Because it is actually very expensive for you to mine and mine according to standards. Now, when you look at how these explosives are used and what's not, question would then be, what are the regulations in place before now to ensure the storing of explosives for this regard? Who actually certifies sanctions? What really are the lessons we can pick from this to forestall this sort of occurrence in the future? And something in my mind just tells me Osun State really needs to look out.
Yeah, so I would start from the angle of accommodating and, getting victims, settled in one way or the other. So I would think that the government is doing what it can. Yesterday, United Nations was on ground. Yesterday, the World Health Organization was on ground at the site, to evaluate what has happened there. So I think the government has been able to address it in a way by ensuring that we have the Bon Hotel, Carlton Gate rather, available for the victims to be able to, accommodate them, let them have roof over their head, because this is a damage that is extremely out of control.
Are they talking about paying them?
The government has said that they are going to be responsible for their stay in the hotel. Now,
after they stay, what happens to them?
Exactly. Now, that's the issue. Now, I would say that, this is, number one, an emergency stay. We're in crisis.
Yes.
This is not something that the government expects itself. Already, the government has approved their own budget for 2024.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
So how do
now,
they accommodate this?
by calling for help from Nigerians and the federal government and international community, I believe what the speaker is saying is that yes, we are in a crisis state and Oyo State needs funds, which is true. Because
how do we, and I want to talk to Oyo State needing fund. So when the fund comes in, how sure are we that the victims themselves
you see,
would get
that's what we should. That's what we should. That's what we should now be looking at. Do you understand? Yes. That's what we should be looking at. We should be looking at, okay, how does international organizations, especially NGOs, that are someone reached out to me on Twitter yesterday saying, okay, about 100,000 euros as relief funds for. This in, I said, oh no, I'm not going to involve in your.
You reach out to the right authority.
If I can only say that, okay, these are the victims I have spoken with. These are the ones that I know. I can connect you with them, but don't involve me in your money thing.
Is the state government interested in being the middleman here? Collect the fund, the resource.
No, I do not really. I do not believe in the Nigerian government or the Oyo State government enough to be able to say that, okay, international organizations should give money to them for the victims. I believe there should be a direct contact between the NGOs or organizations that want to send
a list of victims and
get the list of victims directly from the state government or from NGOs who are available on ground. For example, the Red Cross is there. It's an NGO, doing all they can. I spoke with the former CMD of UCH yesterday, Alonge. These are people that they are first responders. They are there. They are on ground, staying close to the victims. Get the list of those who are exactly involved in this, crisis. And the crisis is not, it is different from one another. There are some persons that their house is completely caved in. There are some that it is just only their windows that are affected. Number one thing I believe that should be done is for an evaluation to happen in that area, to especially check almost all the buildings
and
that surround that.
The evaluation is happening, can it be as transparent as possible? Thank you so much. I mean, interestingly, we can go on and on regarding this, because indeed they say when these things happen, there are times you literally put yourself in there. You're wondering, if this was me, what would I feel at a time like this? Well, a very sad occurrence there at Ibadan, and we do pray and hope that the victims of this incident would be able to get back on their feet as fast as possible. Now, Hamid Fateh, it's been such a great time.
Thank you so much.
We move on to story 2, and well, it's interesting that for a story of abduction and incidences where we can now call abduction epidemic, we are interested in looking at curbing the spread and spate of kidnappings in Nigeria. Recently, headlines like bandits kill man, abduct 13 children on Kaduna Road, or abducted Imo monarch regains freedom, among others, have become commonplace in our nation. It appears the news of kidnapping or abduction is no longer even region-based, but national. A similar headline, you would say, reads, "Kidnapping, FG vows to make Abuja hot for bandits." A statement credited to the Minister of the FCT in Nyesom Wike. Now, it stated that the federal government would not condone any form of bandit attack in Abuja. Also assuring residents of Abuja, the minister said, no need for panic. So where do we situate these statements in the wake of insensate kidnappings across the nation with really gruesome events in Abuja? I'd like for us to recall together that gunmen abducted and killed some residents, including a 13-year-old teenager, Folashade Ariyo, who was residents of Sagwari Estate Layout in Dutse Laji area of Abuja, and Abia Al-Kadriya, a 400-level student of the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, was kidnapped alongside 22 others in Buhari. Joining me from this point on to discuss the other two stories, this and the one to come after, is Daniel Anyotoye. And we're going to be doing justice to this together. I know that these are not really interesting things to talk about. And coming from our first story to this next story is just gloom, doom. But we hope that we're able to provide solution with conversations that are essentially solution-based. I have looked at this. There was a time people would say to you, it's just the northern part, not the entire landscape of the north, but they'd say to you, the northwest is not safe. The northeast is not safe. Do not go there. But at this point in time, even the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is not safe. Your area Ayotoye may as well not be safe because we've had incidences where kidnappers, abductors move into people's areas and houses and literally pick them up and go do whatever they will. What do you make of this? How would you account for how we got here?
It's so sad that we are still discussing this issue even in 2024 because it's a very, it has been a long issue that has been in a long burner of discussions. Now, it's something that we have to also look at the government. What is our government really doing? Since 2015, after 12, 14, 13, and all that, all the promises of the government, the APC-led government, we are going to end insecurity, we are going to end banditry, we are going to do that. Remember Boko Haram during Jonathan's administration? Right. And this issue of APC coming out doing various rallies and campaigns saying we are going to allow us in government, we are going to end this. 2024. Melanie, we still have this situation now. So it's so sad and pitiful. And you will ask yourself, yes, what is this government doing? Now, one thing that has struck me over time is, do we really understand the security architecture of this country? Do we know the fact that what the security architecture we have presently in the country is not working? Do we understand that as a government? What are we doing to ensure that it works? Ask yourself, when last did the federal government held a Security Council meeting to address these issues, aside from the one that was held by the new Inspector General of Police when he was appointed into office. So it's so sad. What is the government? What is the structure that is being put in place? The IG recently in Abuja started the operation, the new operation to ensure that the FCT is secured. Is it the FCT alone that needs to be secured?
But you would agree that the FCT at this point
yes,
an urgent intervention.
Of course, that is not disputable.
I visited Abuja in November. Everybody was afraid for me to the extent I was wondering why. So my friends would say, even if you are booking a ride, you still have to be careful. Even if you're, and I'm like, please, what really is safe? So could I just go out there and just pick a random taxi? Even that one, Melanie, you pretty much have to be. And everybody would call me from one location to the next location. I felt I was being hounded. And I just literally felt like, was this not the same Abuja of 2012, 13, and some parts of 2014, I was quite conversant with Abuja, and I would just go on my own, visit, stay at a friend's, spend my time in town the entire day. It was free, it was safe, you would be fine.
And you will be literally enjoying. But the question is, why? The question that we ask is, why Abuja?
Why Abuja?
Yes! Why Abuja? We don't know the reason, and I'm sorry to say the fact that this insecurity has been with the people, the common man, for a very long time. Some people out there in some of the villages in northern part go and see what is happening to them. Go to Katsina and some of these states and see how people are being killed on the insecurity. Now it's Abuja. Yes, of course, the Federal Capital Territory. It is sad to have such a situation there. We are all shouting and whatever.
What is it we call this the one chance? That is about the most common incident in Abuja. It is so commonplace. I went to Kuje for a story, Daniel. And when I was done with the story before you said Jack, I visited a sister. She was going to make food for me, so my tap whiled away. And it was evening, and then she started to panic. And then I said, what's it? What is it? And then she says, no, Mama, you need to leave now. I said, leave as well. She said, so when we got to the park and we're hustling for a vehicle, and I said, no, this is not comfortable. I cannot sit in this small vehicle in fours. And she says, you better go. You better, I just urge you to go. And so later she shared with me some marks I had seen on her. And then she said, do you know that my phone was stolen? I was beaten, and it's been about 5 months, and I could still see the marks vividly on her. And she said, this is the reality now. Should people continue to live in fear when there is a government that can do something? And is it a situation where even our government are paralyzed? How do you see these things?
Well, like the several security experts I've spoken to, it's clear. We know that this fight we are fighting, the insecurity in Nigeria, is not a conventional war, and it's something that we really need to understand, that there are ways we should undo these things. For example, there was a call for state police, although that also has its own side. Yes, of course.
But would it not be better for the people?
Exactly, so that people who know us.
It is the people you keep alive.
You can't tell
fighting for election.
That is it.
They say state policing, governments, regional politicians can take hold of it.
Of course.
Of course. But can we stay alive first to fight that?
Very important. Very important. Because
yes,
because you can't tell somebody in Abuja to come and protect somebody that's in Lagos.
Every policing has to be local.
It has to be local. Insecurity is local.
Like every politics is local.
It has to be local. People have to see those and know those that is protecting them. And trust issue is also there.
Yes.
How well do we trust our security personnel that are protecting us? Can I easily go out and go to the police station and report a particular case without having issues coming back and all that? Do I know the person I'm talking to? How sure am I that this person will be able to take my issue and handle it well? So that is the reason why state police and community police is very important.
It's very key. And I feel like if we only had more time, another angle to exhaust for me would be the area of the economy, the impact of that and how that has literally resulted in what we have with kidnappings and other crimes in the society. But there isn't such luxury of time. Now, I want to move quickly to our third story, and it is confessions at launch of Femi Adesina's book. I do not get it clearly, please. Confessions at launch of Femi Adesina's literary exposition on Buhari. Now, Working with Buhari, a book by Femi Adesina, was launched on Tuesday, 16th January 2024, and this has become talking points in the media and private spaces. The book, titled Working with Buhari, Reflections of a Senior Advisor, was presented alongside 5 volumes of another book titled Muhammadu Buhari, The Nigerian Legacy, 2015 to 2023. Femi Adesina, however, said at the launch, and this already is speaking to some of the things I want Daniel and I to talk to. He said at the launch, and he spoke of how he's encouraging all of us to read the book, and that the book is about the software, not the hardware, of the man, Muhammadu Buhari, and the government he headed. Now, quoting Femi Adesina, he said, "For me, Buhari is a conviction." And to his question, a lot of people, because this was a question he claimed is being asked a lot, a lot of people wonder, what has Buhari given to you that you're so loyal to him? Let non-Buharists day their day. And we who are Buharists also day our day. This is where I want us to start this conversation, really. I found that amusing, much as we can go into deep analysis of this. I mean, like, Femi, is this really sensitive, really? Should you present it like that? I mean, what do you make of this?
Really, I don't know why he would really say that. Of course, he has his opinion, he's entitled to his opinion, but of course, those who are not Buharists are also Nigerians.
Absolutely.
And criticism, when people criticizes a government, is to make the government better. And you can't say those, or probably now say, because I am criticizing his government, then I'm not in Buhari's, you know.
How did we even vote to be Buhari's?
How did we get to that point?
Yes.
So really, I think, yes, well, again, he's a communicator, and he's trying, of course, to ensure that he's trying to make amusement of the whole processes and the whole activities.
Someone said it's an effort to set the record straight. Yeah. You know, it's similarly like, so after a Buhari tenure of 8 years, you came out and wrote a book, and then you say, okay, this is Working with Buhari, and there are other books. That was just not the only book, right? And there are volumes of the book with lots of appendices and whatnot, testimonies by people who had worked in the Buhari administration. And so it's similarly like, for all the things that has been said in the public domain that didn't get responses, it was like a right of response and an opportunity to set records straight. And who better to do it than a Femi Adesina who worked hand in hand with Buhari for 8 years?
Or is he saying he's not a Tinubuist?
No. I can tell you, if only you want us to analyze it in that light. If you want us to analyze it in that light, I may say that it is by extension a Tinubuism, but primary domain is Buhariism. Okay, please get that record straight. Okay. Now do not confuse it. While we are not confusing it, I equally would like to talk to the Tinubu that you brought into it. And for me, that's one of the few confessions that we've now had off the back of this book launch on Tuesday. So we had a situation where we heard that Tinubu statement where he had said that he inherited many liabilities, battles, and assets from Buhari. Lots of comments have failed. Please don't say you haven't read. And people are saying, well, the Buhari that came off the back of the coalition of CPC-AC 2015 and delivered the mandate, the Buhari you produced, the Buhari you made. So do not give us the assets, liability, the problems. No. This was all your government all along, whether you are now just named president. What do you make of all of this?
Yes, of course. Like you rightly said, it's the governments of APC, and they are one, of course. And it's normal for every government to inherit assets and liabilities. And of course, because there is, of course, immediately you want to resume an office, you know that there are things that will be positive there, and there are negative things there.
It's only
so it's natural, it's normal thing. And for, of course, Nigerians will also want to know what is this assets and liabilities are.
I have more interesting angles, and I think we need to get that there now. So there is the issue of bigotry. So now, Buhari a bigot. This was according to a reviewer at the event. So this reviewer reviewed Femi Adesina's stance on Buhari's, allegation of Nigerians that Buhari is a bigot. And then it says, Femi Adesina rejects that quote, saying that not a Buhari that has Christian cooks and drivers, not a Buhari that would attend a Christian event and would sit all through, referring to Femi Adesina's mom's homegoing that President Buhari had flown from, according to the reviewer, either Kaduna or Katsina at the time to come attend, and he sat all through. Now, that you experienced Buhari this way doesn't mean the rest of Nigerians did experience him that way. I now listened to Femi Adesina on Channels Television, where he equally went ahead to say, so Buhari, experiencing Buhari is, which essentially I think is true, is like having an elephant. I know how they say to you, we can all be blindfolded, not knowing that this is an elephant, and we're told to share what we feel, and people are saying to you, oh, I feel a rod, I feel a pillar, I feel a trunk, I feel whatever it is you feel. So him sharing the software Buhari and not hardware is essentially the inner workings of being with Buhari. But the overhaul of this, in your opinion, especially on the allegations of bigotry and the need for Femi Adesina to really tell Nigerians that it is not what it is. Well, people want to say it is what it is. Or he's saying it is not what it is. What do you make of it?
But the question I also asked him is that, as he has said, yes, he came to the church and all, the experience you had with him is different from Nigerians. What is important is the experience that Nigerians had with him.
And what experience actually made people start saying it could be a bigot?
Yes!
The insecurity was at the heart of this.
Of course.
Appointments sometimes also being more to the north than the other parts of the country was part of it.
Yes, at least we had it in this country under the Buhari government, where the appointment was
skewed to the north.
To the north. You had situations where Nigerians were being killed on a daily basis, and we are shouting insecurity. These people are doing this, these people are doing this, and he kept quiet about it.
And it seemed that the rise in farmer header crisis became a theme during the...
Remember the our crisis. And these issues, and amidst these issues, we are having the open grazing law.
And would you
that
forget, if you are forgetting, I'll bring you back, the inner towns of Oyo State, when you talk about the Igbo, this Sunday Igbo, but there's another area called Igbo, the Ibarakpas, the Okeoguns, and the incessant farmer header crisis, attacks and killings of farmers that then resulted into a seeming, the Yoruba nation, what's not, we don't want ranching on our land. I remember the late Akeredolu of Ondo State stating, no, there will be no ranching in Ondo State. Ekiti State followed suit and said, no, we do not agree for there to be ranching. And there was all of this and that, and there seemed to be a rancor. And it was off the back of, why are these policies favorable to a sect of people over the other? Can we not ranch instead of saying that people should have a free grazing pass?
And see, and this is one of the reasons why I said in Nigeria, I don't understand the system. Well, one of the things is the things we are doing. Now, somebody that gave Nigerians this, do you remember how much a bag of rice was before Buhari? We're talking about something, you're having a bag of rice around 6,000 and thereabout.
And
Today,
left,
Jesus!
30-something thousand. Today it's 50-something
50-something thousand. And you are saying that the way you know, yes, of course, it's your account. Because you are within the pay slip of the government. It's your account. We Nigerians, we are not in the pay slip of the government. And the people suffering that have suffered will not give the same account of Buhari. So I believe this is just a PR for Buhari.
Thank you so much, Daniel Ayoto. Here, that we shall take on the round table today. I would like to say a thing to a very dear senior colleague, Femi Adesina.
Yes.
And what I am saying is, indeed, that book is worth reading, and I am getting on reading it. Thank you, everyone who's joined us on the round table today. It's been such a pleasure having you on. My name is Melanie Ishola, and I invite you to join us next week for another bumper package of the round table. Good afternoon.